friends. Welcome back to Universal Talks. For today, I have a special guest, my first bro star on the episodes. It is Laurian Talianu. He is a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, also known as a quantum-somatics therapist, who specializes in addressing nervous system dysregulation linked to trauma. Using a trauma-informed approach, he stimulates the vagus nerve biodynamically to promote deep healing. This method harnesses the body's innate ability for self-regulation and recovery, fostering essential safety and connection. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to speak. How are you?
Hey, hi there. First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for that beautiful intro. I have to be honest, I was excited just to be here because I know how beautiful your intros are and how well you present your speakers. I've been following your videos daily and weekly,
Oh, thank
and
you.
absolutely brilliant. Everybody you had here on had such beautiful, powerful, amazing stories,
Yes.
and you're such an amazing host. The way you were asking people and guiding those powerful therapists to share those intimate stories, those visceral moments in their life when they shifted their trauma. So thank you for having me today. I'm super excited for this talk, for this powerful sharing moment.
Yes.
So yeah, it's grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I resonate with that so much. I appreciate that. That's got me a little emotional because that's exactly what the intention of this is to showcase not only our skills and what we do for a living, but I want to hear the story, like your journey. Who are you? How'd you get there? Like, so it's been a blessing and it's a really fun ride. So I appreciate you taking the time. It's been tricky to
Thank you.
align with times with all the different time zones, but I knew it would happen when it was meant to be, and here we are.
Yes, it is. So yeah.
So,
Um,
so anything you'd like to say before we get started?
yeah, I would just have to say that my biggest trauma has become my biggest source of power.
Mm,
My my biggest trauma started when I was an embryo and when my mother was pregnant with me. Those 10 months were just in an ocean of terror, fear, and each day was more traumatizing than the previous one.
oh goodness.
And it took me a proper 16 years of inner work just to realize that. I spent 10 years exploring my inner child, exploring and addressing my fragmented consciousness and that repressed shadow.
Hmm.
But I've never realized I was actually born completely traumatized and dysregulated. And that was something I've learned around my 14 year of therapy and
Wow.
healing.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the question was not anymore if I was traumatized or how traumatized I was. The question actually was there ever a moment in my life where I didn't experience life from a traumatized lens? Because even friendly environments,
Yeah.
loving environments, my nervous system will shut down. I will do my best to manipulate the present moment because I was deeply feeling unsafe. And this was happening on autopilot my
Yeah.
entire life.
Yeah.
And only when I heal and integrated that, I realized I've experienced reality for over 34 years through a traumatized, dysregulated nervous.
Wow.
Only when after my first year of biodynamic craniosacral therapy, that's when I've studied deeply embryological patterns and being for a whole year in that circle with people studying and having sessions and studying and having sessions. Finally, my embryological pattern came to the surface, one of them. And for
Yeah.
the first time in my life, I actually tasted inner safety. like
Mm.
proper inner safety, regulation.
Yes.
My body and system allowed me to fully feel safe and present in my body, in my skin, in the present moment.
Mhm.
And I cried the whole day out of pure happiness and gratefulness
Wow.
to have healed such a powerful inherent discomfort, like a quantum trauma on my embryological matrix that was always there,
Mm-hmm.
but always impossible to access or to open a dialogue with.
Yeah.
And when that happened, something powerful shifted within me as the wounded healer. And I started being able to perceive these dynamics and patterns in the clients I work with. I'm
Mm.
able to recognize when is an inner child dynamic stuck in their physiology, when there's a repressed shadow, but also when there's an embryological pattern.
Okay.
And I have clients that come in and maybe they are in their 70s and they've carried for 70 years an embryological pattern,
Mhm.
a chronic depression that was not even theirs. Their mother was experiencing suppressed depression during their pregnancy, and they imprinted that on their developing embryo.
Yep.
So they spent 70 years under the energy of chronic depression, and they've never managed to properly explore and integrate.
Mm. So common.
So
Unfortunately, it's so common.
yeah, so that's where I am today. I end up aligning and attracting clients who've been probably misdiagnosed for the past
Mm.
10 or 40 years, where the medical system, out of compassion, but also
Yes.
blind, just
Yeah.
looked at their symptoms, but never at the root cause of their
Exactly.
physiological trauma or nervous system dysregulation.
Mm.
And I hold space for people to deeply integrate that traumatized inner embryo and heal that
Yeah.
deep trauma.
Wow.
That's where I am today.
Thank you for sharing. So, like you kind of touched on it briefly. What were you like as a kid? What was your upbringing like?
Hmm. I was completely dysregulated, and any kind of interaction for me felt alien. Um, I was I was in complete suppression.
Mm.
My system will completely shut down and dissociate. I was unable to have healthy relationships since day one of my life because
Really?
all I knew was only to freeze and shut down in any kind of friendly situation since I was 1 day.
Wow.
And I was even born with a dysfunctional heart
Hmm.
because the trauma was so powerful during my pregnancy. My mother was so traumatized during this event that the emotional charge was so powerful that my developing heart couldn't take it, and it physiologically and biologically shattered under the powerful emotional trauma my mother was experiencing. And being a third child, my parents already had two abortions before me. And the
Oh,
third child under the communist regime in Romania in the 80s was just too much. So they decided for another abortion, which my embryo instantly felt rejected and abandoned
wow.
as they wanted to abort. They were ready to do it.
Right.
So for the next 30 years, whenever one of my friends would express healthy boundaries, or my workplace would tell me I need to improve myself, or I'm supposed to change a job, or a girlfriend will break up with me,
Hmm.
any kind of interaction I've experienced for over 30 years, my inner embryo will instantly feel abandoned and rejected.
Yeah.
And I had no idea why. Like waves of abandonment, waves of powerful energy of rejection would like wash over me. And it had nothing to do with the present moment. My system was just running that first program it registered in the first weeks of my conception. So for me, growing up was abandonment, rejection, and the only tool I had to feel the illusion of safety was being a bully. That's the only moment in my life when I started feeling certain wave of safety,
Mhm.
just being a bully. That was the only moment when I felt that illusion of control and safety.
Yeah.
And that's the most unhealthy thing because it took me another 30 years to accept and self-love the bully that exists within me.
Yeah.
And then at 13, 14 years old, I discovered another tool, which was manipulation. I
Mm.
realized bullying was not getting me anywhere, but I was deeply dysregulated. My nervous system would just shut down and freeze. So I learned to manipulate,
Yeah.
to again get that kind of sense of inner safety. And that was like played on autopilot. I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
All I knew is that me doing my best to manipulate the present moment. And when I say that, I mean if we were four friends at a table and one of them was just unhappy or just having a bad day, I was too uncomfortable to sit with him because I was just too dysregulated. So I
Mhm.
would manipulate, do my absolute best to make him happy just so I don't feel uncomfortable in my own dysregulation.
Gotcha.
So if there were six friends, I had to manipulate six people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exhausting.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And again, I would finish the day completely exhausted,
Mm.
dissociated, shut down, and in complete freeze. To be completely honest, I had zero education of my physiology, of my biology.
Hmm.
Even Romania back then had zero in my world, in my universe. Nobody
Yes.
had any trauma education. So I spent the next 30 years just being completely dysregulated. I've never felt safe in my body. I never felt okay in my present moment. It felt like a constant battle. So yeah, that was me growing up.
Did you have any, was there any like religious backgrounds? Like,
That's a really good question. It is still under Christian Orthodoxism.
okay.
So it's a form of Catholicism, but my family was not religious. Uh, I never deeply resonated with any form of religion.
Hmm.
I was a devout and complete atheist until I was 33 years old.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, I was fully ingrained in this 3D existence. I was
Yeah.
in my brain, I was seeing existence linear and dual, and I only believe what I can physically feel and touch. Nothing in my world showed any signs of divinity or love. The idea of love was so foreign to me.
Hmm.
It felt like a science fiction
Hmm. Yeah.
kind of idea model in my universe. And the only moment that I've glimpsed divinity, and when I say divinity, it felt more like a union with the universe, was when the universe orchestrated for me at the age of 26 to have a mushroom trip um, in the Gili Islands near Bali. And I had no idea what psychedelics were at that moment in my life. I had no idea what shrooms were in that moment in my life.
Yeah.
but the universe answered my prayers. I was 26. I was coming after 6 years of being the deep. I was having powerful addictive behaviors because my solution to my dysregulation was to eat and drink. I had no idea I'm traumatized. I have no idea I'm dysregulated. So the only thing that brought comfort in the beginning was food. I was so much in discomfort, I would go to eat to feel a certain felt sensation of comfort. And when food was not enough, I will open a bottle of wine, a second bottle of wine. When
Yeah.
that was not enough, I will go at the end of the weekend so I can pop an ecstasy pill or an MDMA to feel a certain regulation and comfort in my system. Those
Mhm.
were my solutions. 10 years of being fully ingrained in addictive behaviors from eating, drinking, pornography, sex, shopping. Uh, I even tried to save the world. Anything but to look inside my heart. I
Yeah.
would project everything outside. The,
Yeah.
the problem was outside of me. The pain was outside. I would save the world so I don't look into my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks to that shroom trip, I glimpsed my authentic self under all that trauma, like something within me finally came to the surface.
Mm.
And at 26, I viscerally felt oneness within myself and my existence.
Mm.
And I started believing there is something more. There is a certain connection in life. That was my first step into awakening, my first step into realizing that my consciousness is deeply fragmented, that I'm full of shadows,
Mm.
and there's a lifetime of suppressed emotions within my system.
So you said that was
And
around
from
26. What did you do after high
yeah,
school? What was your career? Did you go to
uh,
university?
yeah, I was blessed with a really, really, really powerful knee injury when I was 18. Um, I was living in a football academy, um, and my knee exploded,
Ooh.
and this is the biggest blessing of my life because it took me a year to learn how to walk.
Oh, wow.
And in that year, the physiotherapist said to me, would you like to become a physiotherapist?
Okay.
And I was having suicidal thoughts. I thought my life is just football. I thought I had a plan for my life. And then suddenly I couldn't play football. I was at home in bed for 4 months, couldn't move.
Wow.
My heart was just so heavy
I'm sure.
with suicidal emotions and despair and depression and those darkest dragons a person has deep within them.
Yeah.
I was so dysregulated and always stuck in this freeze mode. I've never shared this with anyone. I was just holding it all in.
Yeah.
That knee explosion was more like a manifestation of how heavy my heart was.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first moment when I realized that whatever the heart is suppressing, the body is expressing.
Mm. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, so that knee explosion was just a manifestation of that deep suppressed depression and trauma that was
Yeah.
so heavy in my heart. So that's why I said it was a blessing. Like
Right.
it allowed me to feel some pain. It allowed me to meet the person who said, "Hey, become a physiotherapist."
Yeah.
So I became a physiotherapist and
Yeah.
I instantly fell in love with it.
Mm.
When I was already a student, I managed to start working as an assistant physiotherapist to a doctor, and something magical happened one day. He asked me if I would like to do short 15, half an hour massage treatment to his clients. And at that moment in my life, I hated deeply massage. I was like, I'm a physiotherapist. I work with group of peoples. I don't like touching people. I don't see myself touching people and offering massage.
Yeah.
And that day, he asked me in a really beautiful, compassionate way, Life was speaking to him. Source was in his heart in that moment, and he convinced me. And the moment I touched the person's arm and shoulder, my arms instantly remembered what to do.
Mm.
I was in shock and in awe. I was equally terrified and equally falling in love. My hands were moving on autopilot. They knew how to move, where to press, how to press. It felt like I had an extra pair of ears in my hands. I could feel tissues. I could listen to fluid,
Mm.
but I had no idea what was going on. I was just in love with how good it felt to be so talented at something.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this feels like a calling. I went and got a level 3 degree in sports massage. At university, I applied for another course that was more body work and soft tissue. I got my bachelor's degree. I went to work for the summer in Greece as a massage therapist.
Okay.
And then I came back to Romania to get my master's degree in sports rehabilitation. And I also got another degree in something called YOUniversal therapy. It's like a Japanese version of what an osteopath would do in the US.
Okay.
So I was deeply falling in love with bodywork.
Yeah.
And it felt really powerful, like something was working through me. It felt like a full state of flow being doing body work to
Yeah.
clients. So, and after that, I went to Cyprus for a year to work in a yoga retreat
Mm.
as a massage therapist.
Okay.
That was the first time I heard about Reiki
Okay.
and about Hinduism.
Mm.
It was completely foreign to me. Like they would speak to me, but knowledge would not come from my ears. I was completely fragmented.
For
I
sure.
was not even a baby of the universe. I was just
Right.
a character in a 3D world. And I moved to London after a year in Cyprus.
Okay.
I've deepened my knowledge as a soft tissue therapist. In the UK, I got a level 5 degree in soft tissue therapy, which means it allowed me to treat any soft tissue from the skin to the bone, to work deep
Mm.
in fascia, deep through the organs, allowing me to work really deep within the body.
Okay.
And I started sensing much powerful things with my hands, but I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe energy work is possible. I didn't believe. I was so upset with my own self. I was like, if I have the powers to do this, nobody has. It can't
Mhm.
be that everybody's so good around the world. I just
Yep.
couldn't accept it that some people were and I wasn't. So I
Yeah,
was rejecting the idea that this is even possible.
for sure.
And I was, I believe, 24 when I moved to London.
Okay.
And after a year in London, I went to Australia. That was my childhood dream to visit Sydney and Australia.
Mm.
And I fell in love with traveling doing that. So I decided to come back to London, work for 8 months, and then travel around the world for 2, 3 months.
Awesome.
So I came back to London working as a massage therapist in some of the most brilliant rehabilitation clinics in London, becoming a really good massage therapist, but simultaneously completely ignoring my trauma, suppressing my pain. I was still a manipulator. I was still a suppressor.
Hmm.
I was just focusing to be a good soft tissue therapist, but completely ignoring my own pain.
Yep.
And then again, winter came. I traveled again. I came back to London. And then the third year, I traveled and I ended up in Bali, where I had my first mushroom trip.
Gotcha.
And that was my first moment of a gentle awakening.
Yeah.
And after I woke up that morning, I felt like the brain completely was like in a washing machine. And I Instantly, half of my programs have disappeared. My physiological heart felt like it lost 20 kilos. My emotional body felt so light. I could
Yes.
walk and I would not feel my body when I was walking. So I felt in love with this. But simultaneously, I traded one addiction to another.
Yeah.
It took me a few years to realize that psychedelics are not going to do the inner work for me. But for the next 3 years, 26 to 29, I probably went in a really deep rabbit hole when I stopped drinking and eating and probably stopped using MDMA and ecstasy. And I used shrooms in a therapeutic way, but they were still an addiction. I was still running from my trauma. I was just doing the inner work by myself. There was no compassionate witness. I was not
Yeah.
sharing with nobody. I was not in the presence of a professional. I
Yeah.
just spent the next 3 years blindfolding myself at home in a dark room, eating 5 to 7 grams of shrooms, and just in the darkness, looking to connect to my consciousness and my heart. And now I know as a therapist, they are not the answer. They are a good catalyst in the right environment, but there was just another addiction for me, a healthier one than
Yeah.
eating and drinking, but still an addiction, not looking at my trauma.
Right.
And then the pandemic came, and the pandemic came when I was traveling in South America,
Okay.
and I was in Peru in a village at the bottom of a canyon when the pandemic came under military lockdown.
Oh my
So I
God.
spent the next 4 months in Peru eating avocados and cheese, and I adopted two dogs, and I spent most of the pandemic in a small village in Peru in the
Wow.
middle of nowhere. And it was illuminating, equally traumatizing, but equally
Yeah.
brought to the surface a lot of childhood trauma. It offered
Mhm.
me the opportunity to go deeper in a different way.
Right.
There were once a week, I will have this really powerful cry session. I was experiencing so much healing and integration in that isolation because it brought so much from my entire life to the surface.
Yeah.
That was a really powerful moment for me to heal and integrate. And under the pandemic, I came home. I went back to London. We had another year of lockdown, and then this is when my life completely shifted from 3D to 5D, let's say, from my
Okay.
perception and
Right.
perception. And reality has always been infinite and powerful and multidimensional.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
from my own perception, when I turned 33 years old, um, three people came into my life out of nowhere. It felt like out of nowhere, Morpheus and Trinity came into my universe to just completely shatter and bring in a new dimension of life. And one
Mm.
of these two people is my current wife.
Beautiful.
When she appeared in the same physical space with me, and she said, "Hello, I'm Monica," my spine from my coccyx all the way up to my head, it started physically vibrating like
Mm.
this, exploding with energy, and then it
Yeah.
reached my head and my crown chakra, and it exploded in such a powerful way. I got such powerful goosebumps that the hair on my head went up like this. Like physically, my hair was up
Yeah.
like that.
A
And
Kundalini.
in that
I've heard a lot
moment,
of people reference that as
yes,
like a Kundalini. Yeah.
yes, at that moment, I had zero knowledge of what the
Right.
Kundalini awakening is,
Right.
but that's exactly what it was.
Wow.
And in that instant, I knew this is the most important person in my entire life.
Mm.
In that moment, I knew what people mean when they say, when you know, you know.
Yes.
When you meet your soulmate, your twin flame, however people want to label it, your divine self, your God self in the other person in front of you, you know with every infinite cell in your body from a quantum level to a biological level. Your entire being recognizes
Yes.
your soulmate.
Hmm.
And it took me 9 days to build the courage to propose to her.
Oh my gosh.
If it was my soul was saying propose to her in that first night,
Wow.
we declared eternal love to each other that first night. But I was still having these fear-based programs. It took me 9 days to propose to her, which
Oh my
for me
God.
it feels too much when I say it, because I knew from that moment. So staying another 9 days to propose to her feels like too long. I
Wow.
was too scared.
That's amazing.
And I proposed to her. She said yes with the entirety of her being.
Oh my goodness.
Uh, and a month later, we were having a picnic, and out of nowhere, um, I'm always finding challenging the words to describe that day.
Mm,
Out of nowhere, a powerful hum within me, like in my being,
mm,
appeared. It filled my entire being, and suddenly this God frequency embodied my body.
mm,
I've received powerful downloads and revelations. More than 13 billion years of information was instantly downloaded and integrated within my being. I felt like the whole Akashic records were just flooding my brain, my consciousness, my system.
yeah.
I, I, I was deeply feeling this divine God frequency within me, changing my body on a molecular energetic level.
Okay.
I started seeing myself through the history of existence as being absolutely everybody, from all the sinners to all the saints, from all the kids to all the moms. I felt the suffering of a billion people in an instant. I felt the trauma and the pain of existence in one moment, which felt like an eternity for me. I felt my heart being shattered in pain. I started vomiting. I started physically vomiting. It was such an intense experience for me. Viscerally, it shattered me, realizing that I am a God, that I am the creator of my own reality. But my character, whatever programs I had in me, I started vomiting my actual human self outside of my body. I physically vomited the whole afternoon to integrate everything that consciousness was revealing to me.
Yeah. Like a sober
At
ayahuasca
the end,
trip.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Imagine a ayahuasca trip an infinite times more powerful, but we know ayahuasca in it. Like
Yeah.
just pure God presence, squeezing your being of programs, of trauma, of what everything that I am not was physically and energetically squeezed out of my being in that moment.
Wow.
And in that moment, I felt the entirety of my being one with everything there is.
Mm,
And I could feel this voice within me showing me how everything in front of me is me, showing me how everything in front of me is a projection of me, is an extension of me, allowing me to see things like so multidimensional. I could see that everything in front of me is just a projection of my soul. From that moment onwards, when I open my eyes, I feel like I'm looking inside of my heart. Like for me, from my perception, this discussion with you right now here is happening within my heart. This is how my heart looks. There's a Laurian here, there's a Kenneth there, there's a dog to my left. This is how my heart space looks like.
I love that. I
This
love
is how I'm perceiving. This is the inside of me right now.
mm,
And simultaneously you have your own unique dimension, the way you see and perceive this non-dual present moment. That was the moment when my being fully stepped into the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
when my being fully went into the non-dual present moment, when I could feel my entire body being divine and powerful. And I just spent the whole afternoon with my wife, just being one soul in two bodies, enjoying the forest we were in and the picnic. And then came the downside. I
Mm-hmm.
woke up the next day feeling human again.
Yeah.
I woke up the next day without that gut frequency in such a powerful way in my being. And my wife turned to me and looked and said something really funny like, what? You thought it's going to be that easy? You think that's it? You spend an afternoon with God and then you're fully embodying it? What about the past 30 years of suppressed emotions? What about the past 30 years of suppressed inner child? Those repressed shadows? My darling, your healing it's just starting now.
Yes.
And it hit me so hard. It was such a painful moment for me to accept that I am a God, but I'm simultaneously a human who is depressed. I am divine, but I'm simultaneously traumatized. I am eternal, but I'm also here in this physical form, feeling pain and suffering.
Yeah.
So it took me probably 2, 3 years to
Mm.
integrate, to bring this integration together,
Yeah.
to fully self-love the God within me, but to also fully self-love the human within me, the inner child, to accept to learn how to express healthy narcissism, healthy anger, to bring my child to the surface for creation, for inner safety. So the past 3 years have been integrating that,
Mhm.
but also allowing these divine gifts to come to the surface. Now I'm able to hold space for people, to integrate powerful trauma and patterns within their tissues that's beyond imagination. When a session starts, I become a witness to the session. There's like this
Mhm.
God frequency within me that facilitates the session, that guides the session.
Yeah.
I become a witness to my own present moment
Yeah.
and allow life to work through me.
I resonate with that. That's beautiful.
So that's a summary
Yeah, that's
of my
quite the
journey
journey. Yeah.
into today.
Wow. So, like, just briefly, your wife, where was she like spiritually doing during all of this while you were having your awakenings? Was she already like far in her progress, or were you doing it together? Or
We're doing it together, but she's far above me.
okay.
Like from the moment she appeared in my life, she is the embodiment of life.
Hmm.
My wife is the embodiment of love, and I feel like a student in her presence
Oh, that's
each
beautiful.
day. She can run a bank, she can be a teacher to kids, simultaneously do it with the same authenticity and self-love that I've never seen anyone in my universe do it. She's an
Mm.
example with everything that she does. I constantly feel like a student in her presence.
Oh my goodness.
She's the most powerful being in the world. Since that day when we met, she has channeled this God frequency maybe on 4 occasions when it literally felt like I'm going for an afternoon walk with God, and my wife was the embodiment of that
Wow.
God self.
Wow.
There's this crazy story once. She completely terrified me because it just felt terrifying being in the presence of such a powerful vibration. Boogie, come here, my love. Boogie, one moment, Kenneth. Boogie,
Got something to say.
you're, you're my, this is my puppy. He likes to protect us. Come here, my love. So this one day, Monica fully gets embodied by this divine presence frequency, and she half of her body morphs into a different shape, and she gets an almond dark shaped eye, and half of her body has a round eye with a blue eye. She goes full Kali on me. Like she just becomes the embodiment of this powerful divine being. Half of her body is one color, half of her body is a different color, and it completely terrifies me. And she's joyful, she plays with me, she knows she's God, and it's terrifying in human form to be in the presence of pure source. No matter how present I am, no matter how self-aware I am of my own divinity, when the person in front of you fully embodies that God frequency and half of their body morphs in something and half of their body morphs in something else, it's amazing and equally terrifying.
For sure.
And my wife has done that like on 4 occasions in the
Wow.
past 3 years.
Wow.
So
And
to answer your question,
Is she aware of it when it's happening? Or she's just like in
no,
alignment, it's just natural.
she completely disappears. If I ask her the next day, for her it was a normal day, like we were just having a walk. She doesn't have the felt sensation of being embodied by God or Kali.
Huh. Hmm.
So to answer your question, being with my wife is just astonishing and mysterious and magical and on so
Yeah.
many levels. Uh, yeah, I'm eternally grateful that my universe is unfolding like this.
Yes, it sounds absolutely amazing. And maybe next time I can have you both on. I would love to have a couple on, a spiritual couple. I haven't had that on yet. That'd be so cool to hear her story.
She would love to.
Um, so I'm curious, when I was looking over some of your information, you mentioned the concept of pain with the analogy of pay attention, integrate it now. I was curious if you could explain what that is a little bit.
Yeah, uh, it's just the crystallization of my past 16 years as my own healing journey, but also being a therapist to other people.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen and felt and realized that pain is just a messenger, it's a guide.
Yes.
And when I say pain, I mean it, any symptom you have. It can be depression, anxiety, it can be a liver that doesn't work, it can be a spine that has this powerful scoliosis. When I say pain, I mean whatever the body is communicating in the present moment. You feel it as pain. It can be emotional, physical, energetical, but it's perceived as pain by that consciousness, that individual. And for me, means pay attention, integrate now. How can we listen to that dynamic? How can we nurture what you feel? How can I open a dialogue, a physiological dialogue, a quantum dialogue with the pattern and dynamic that's present in your tissues right
Makes sense. I love that. I'm going to use that for sure. I'm never going to forget that. I love a good
now?
like, is it not an analogy, an anagram? Is that what's called with the letters? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you say, give some examples of how the body stores trauma?
Oh, I could write a book about it, and I'm actually am writing the book about
Good. I was going to say, yeah.
it. And already there are books about. There's a really great book called "The Body Keeps the Score"
Body
by
keeps
a
okay.
powerful, yeah, it's a powerful trauma-informed therapist. I totally recommend his book, "The Body Keeps the Score."
Okay.
Uh, During my studies as a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, I kept receiving these powerful downloads and revelations. And I saw how, from the moment of conception, when the a sperm is invited by the egg inside and the magic of life starts to appear, whatever's happening around that field, it starts absorbing everything.
Yeah.
So from that first day of conception, that drop of water keeps the score of every emotion the mother is feeling if it's too overwhelming. It keeps the score of every fight she has with her partner, she
Mm.
has with herself, every self-doubt, every limiting belief, every suppressed inner child dynamic, any shadow suppressed.
Yeah.
any kind of dynamic is being absorbed and imprinted within the matrix of the developing embryo. If it's too powerful, the baby ends up being born prematurely. It's it just doesn't have the 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 aliveness to go all the way full term, so it comes in
Right.
early. Or
Yeah.
some people are born with an eyesight dysfunction or a hearing dysfunction, or some people like me are born with a dysfunctional heart. It shows you where in the pregnancy the trauma unfolded. So when was your ear canal developing? Okay, in week 36. What happened to you, dear woman in week 36? I was working too much, or someone shouted at me, or I had a panic attack, or an anxiety.
Oh,
It was
wow.
so powerful, it imprinted on the baby, and the baby gets to be born with that.
Mm.
And nobody asks what happened before, or what's the root of it. They just look at it's a hearing thing. Okay, like it's okay. He was not born with. No, we have to look with compassion. We have to inquire in the mother's physiology, in the
Yeah.
baby's physiology. As a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, I work with mothers during their pregnancy. As soon as they find out they are pregnant, they come and see me so we can support the developing embryo.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I see babies from their first week of birth.
Mm.
If they are born with any kind of pattern or dynamics, families bring their babies to me, and I just listen to their physiology, to their system, and something within me facilitates healing and integration.
Yeah. Wow. I have goosebumps because just the other day, if not yesterday, I was speaking to a friend about another evolution of my offerings and services is I want to work with newborns to help clear all of those karmatic traumas, whether it be from the mother's birth or even just the birthing experience itself can be traumatic
Yes,
because working with so many clients who say, my life was good, I had a good childhood, and they don't understand why they still have all these uneasinesses and discomforts, not understanding that it can start and does start in utero. So I'm loving this
yeah,
conversation. I'm so glad that we aligned. This is awesome.
yeah. So, look an example. I work with a lot of families and kids, and they will have three kids, and all three kids grow in the same house, experiencing the same, let's say, dynamics. And the parents come and ask me, okay, but why was Caitlin born like this? Or why is Andrea showing sign of anxiety at 12? Or why is Michael doing this? They had the same childhood. And then I asked the parents, okay, they had the same childhood, but did they have the same embryological life?
Yeah.
The first kid, the mother was probably working. She didn't have the awareness how important those months of gestation is. And the system doesn't give you paid holiday straight away. It gives you towards the end.
Yeah.
So that first baby commuted with the bus. That first baby was in the underground. That first baby went to work, experienced
Yeah.
the anxieties of emails, of meetings, and of course he absorbs everything. So when he's born, he already has so much in his system.
Right.
While baby number two, the mother is at home raising baby number one. So baby number two is a loving environment. He grows up on the couch. The mother is spoiled by the husband. The mother is feeding baby number one at her breast, and is so much love created in that
Mm,
moment.
mm.
So baby number two in the belly is in an ocean of love, while baby number one was in an ocean of depression and anxiety and terror.
Yeah.
The mother has her own suppressed dynamics. Her nervous system constantly is experiencing flight, fight, cortisol, adrenaline, flooding the amniotic chamber, shaping and programming the nervous system of the baby with her trauma responses, flight, fight, fawning, freezing, dissociating. So they might grow in the same environment, but they have completely different embryological lives.
Yeah.
And there's another aspect to it, which is so magical and beautiful. For us, for our perception, is 10 months. But in 10 months, it goes from a drop of water to a fully grown baby. That's a lifetime.
Yeah.
We don't evolve in 100 years as humans as much as a baby evolved from a drop of water into a full body in 10 months.
Yeah.
So a single day for a baby is longer than a year. He's developing organs, bones, muscles, nerves. If that one day the mother is experiencing anything else but self-love, compassion, unfortunately, that baby is going to show signs of trauma. People are going to call it intergenerational trauma,
Yeah.
transgenerational trauma,
Yeah.
ancestral trauma. It all shows up in the physiology
Mm.
of the body because we work in the 3D world. We have bones, we have muscles. They are the manifestations of that energy that's vibrating. So the trauma is also on a quantum level, on those energy that's vibrating, those on those tiny strings of quantum energy, they vibrate into matter.
Yeah.
And trauma is in all the layers, from the skin to the bone, the muscles, the organs, to the cell, the quantum level, as deep as possible.
Yeah. Powerful. How
That's
would
how
you
it shows in my sessions.
how would you say quantum somatics therapy differs from just normal physical therapy or just therapy in general?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, First of all, is my 16 years of inner work, so it's uniquely for my filter. The difference is that the moment when a client comes into my session, I'm allowing the session to unfold based on all the information I'm receiving on a quantum level from the person in front of me.
Mhm.
And we work with what's present in the body that day in the present moment. For
Okay.
example, people come in, they have a seat. We first have like a 5-10 minute discussion. And as we discuss, they start sharing some deep things because they feel it's a safe environment.
Yeah.
And as they start sharing those things, I can start to feel how a certain part of their body is vibrating differently. So I'll ask them, hey, Kenneth, we've talked about embryological patterns. Is there any part of your body right now or around your body that's vibrating differently? Can you tune into your body for a moment? Like close your eyes and let me know if you feel any part of your body vibrating. And the person might
Mhm.
say there's an energy around my guts or my
Yeah, I
left
was going to
leg.
say a little bit around my upper gut and heart area.
Yeah, yeah. And my gift allows me to feel that. Even now through the screen, I can
Yeah.
feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
I can feel my own system vibrating. And as you close your eyes, I guide the person to connect a little bit. I might ask the shape, the color, the qualities, to deeply connect to that pattern.
Mhm.
And then I ask the person to ask the pattern, when was the first time I felt this?
Yeah.
When was the first time I felt this energy? And kind of allow space in their system. The answer to come back, not from their brain, but like an echo from their heart space. And the body communicates. It's going to give us an image when the person was maybe, for example, let's say she was 6. The other month I saw someone and she completely forgot about this event. Because it's not the trauma that we know, it's the trauma that we don't know that
Yes.
deeply stays in the body.
Yes.
And she started saying, oh wow, I can see an image. I was 6. My mother was having a panic attack. She thought she's going to die. She said she's going to die. She went catatonic, and I completely frozen in fear because my mother said she's going to die. Although she was perfectly healthy, but she was having a powerful trauma response.
Yeah.
And she completely forgot about it. And she could see the image of being a little girl being terrified to death because her mother is about to die, but also she had an insight. She realized she felt completely abandoned and rejected by her caregiver when she said, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Her inherent emotional response was, oh my God, she's abandoning me, she's rejecting me.
Yep.
And that crystallized within her. Someone in her 6-year-old body crystallized in her nervous system, in her energetic body. It was so traumatizing for her that she completely forgot about this episode.
Yeah.
And she spent the next 40 years when she was having similar dynamics in her life in the present moment.
Mm.
She would relive that pattern when she was 6,
Yeah.
feeling abandoned, rejected, and freezing, and she completely forgot about it.
Yep.
So in that moment, I guide the person to project themselves in that room, like the person they are today in the present moment,
Mhm.
to have a dialogue with the little girl,
Yeah.
a dialogue to tell her it's not her fault, and they connect to that. They give each other a hug in that moment. I can feel their fields softening to
Yes.
tell her you're safe with me, you're safe with me, and we work on this safe with me as long as is needed. Because in that moment, that little 6-year-old girl lost her sense of safety.
Yep.
In my view, that's what the inner child dynamic is. When we lose our inherent sense of safety, we feel completely traumatized and overwhelmed, and it gets crystallized in our system and tissue.
Yeah.
And she gives herself a hug. She gives herself that sense of safety. And then at the end, she says 6 times, you're safe with me. I love you so much.
Mm. Mm.
We also explore what the little girl is feeling, what she's replying. And now that we've connected to this pattern, that's when I ask the person to come on the bed, to lie down on the bed, so I can deeply connect to their system, so I can support the integration of the pattern that's present today in their system.
Wow.
And usually in the first 5-10 minutes, we get to integrate that pattern. The air in the room starts shimmering, reality starts being glittery, her field physically expands. She feels like she's dropping into the bed. Her system goes into this trance-like state. I can feel the frequency of her field shifting. She goes into something that feels like theta frequency,
Mm.
where she's experiencing optimal homeostasis. And because she's so open and safe and in optimal homeostasis, other patterns come to the surface,
Yeah.
deeper patterns.
Yeah.
And there's a voice within me that might ask, it's not me, I'm not asking. There's something within me that says, hey, how's your left shoulder? Or what happened when you were 2? There's a powerful exchange of information. There's an open dialogue between my field, her field, my physiology, her physiology, my inner embryo, her inner embryo. So we start working with the patterns that come to the surface. And the person might start shaking that energy.
Yep.
Some people fall asleep and then don't even realize they do this during the session.
Yeah.
Some people stay in their body and we discover their inner landscape. We
Hmm.
we go like on a journey for their body, for their physiology, for their energetic field.
Yeah.
Some people completely disappear from the room. Their body starts snoring, but they say things like at the end of the session, they say things like, this is so strange. I was in the room with you and I could see my body being asleep on the bed snoring,
Yeah.
but I was awake in the room. So they get more in touch with their field. They become the field around the body
Right.
that has the body within.
Wow.
And then towards the end of the session, there's something within me that tells me, okay, that field is coherent. That part of the body is expressing how.
Mm.
For me, in my body, it feels like I'm listening to an orchestra.
Okay.
And when I'm listening to a person's field, I can feel viscerally within me if a violin is playing a different song.
Mm,
And that violin can be the liver, or it can be
right.
the area around the shoulder, or it can be the cerebrospinal fluid, or the heart, or the little toe. Something within me deeply resonates with that quantum song that's playing a different
Ooh,
tune.
I love that.
And just by listening there,
Hmm.
observing it, validating its presence, its emotions, its experience, empathizing with what's there, something within my heart space invites that violin. Hey, would you like to play the same song as the rest of the body? Would you
Yeah.
like to play the tune of health? Would you like to play coherence?
Ooh, okay.
And the violin starts playing a different vibration. The organ comes online. The person shakes. Something shifts. The field opens, and the person's experiencing health and coherence and integration.
Wow. Wow.
And I feel within me that the session, that part of the session is completed,
Yeah.
is integrated. And we finish the session when the person comes back into their body, slowly transition back to the chair, and we have again a 5-10 minute discussion to integrate what happened, to answer their question, because what happened is beyond words, is beyond language. For some
Yeah.
people, it's scary, for some people, it's exciting, but having that space for integration at the end is key.
Yes, it is.
So, to answer your question, quantum somatics is a deeply intimate, intuitive therapy that works through my divine gifts.
Yeah. I heard like so many similarities to me and my modality, and uh, just loving this. There's so many synchronicities. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Um, so what would you say this approach, how does it facilitate the healing? Could you explain to those who don't understand like how on like simple terms maybe? And it's hard quantumly to do that, but like how would you say just how does it facilitate the innate inner healing that our bodies already have
Yeah,
the ability to do?
yeah. That's a brilliant question, by the way,
Thank you.
because always explaining this in a simple way becomes
Yeah.
really complicated, funny
Yes, it
enough.
does. Like from a 5D to a 3D point of view is
Yeah,
always my challenge
yeah.
to do.
What I usually say my clients is that our body constantly 24/7 is self-healing itself.
Yes.
From the moment of conception to the present moment today, the body is self-healing, finding balance, finding coherence, finding health, is expressing health nonstop.
Yes.
So what I do is I explore what in the body is stopping or slowing down the self-healing. Like I cut my skin right in the 3D world, and then magically my hand has perfect skin right in a few days. I break a bone and then magically put it in a cast, and a month later the bone is perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
So what happened to you, dear client, that 10 years later, after the back surgery on your spine hasn't fully healed? Why does your car accident from 2000 still give you neck pain and head pain? Why isn't your body self-healing itself? And that's where I come. I open a dialogue with whatever piece of information, trauma, is blocking that part of the body to heal itself.
Yeah.
So I kind of just release the trapped energy, which is neither positive or negative. It's pure intelligence, pure creativity, pure
Yes.
health. So
Yes.
I just facilitate a gentle shift in that part of the body that's experiencing the pain to allow the body to heal itself. And the body heals itself instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how it feels. within my perception, within my session.
Hmm.
That's how a session feels with me.
Could you share like a specific example that comes to mind of one of the most like miraculous experiences or healings that you've had with a client?
Oh,
Just
well,
one that stands
all of
out. I'm
them.
sure there's so many.
Yeah, all of them. But one that comes now to the surface is a person who experienced a powerful quantum jump, quantum shift. Like he came in, it was session number 3.
Okay.
He was hunched. He had a powerful scoliosis. His back looked like this.
Mm,
His shoulders were collapsed in front like that. He had pain all over his body. He's been in pain for over 20 years.
yeah.
Um, Everybody gave him different things, what's going on there, and nothing ever worked with him. And in session number 3, he went in this really, really powerful place. His body was just shaking on my table. He was not there. I was verbally engaging with him. He couldn't listen to me. I was just holding space for his body. His body was shaking like from his toes to his head.
Yeah.
He was not there. And then when he came back into his body, he said he was in this different dimension. He was a full 3D person. So for him, it was so exciting. Like, oh my God, there's something more out there. I've met God. I've done that. Like, what just happened to me in this session? It's crazy. And when he got down from the bed, he looked like he went to the gym for the past year. So his back was like this when he came to the door. When
Hmm.
he got down from the bed, his back was like this.
Wow.
His shoulders were back, and he actually had like muscle tone around his chest and spine.
Amazing.
I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
He got down in a different body.
Mm.
In my knowledge, I'd label that as a quantum jump or a quantum
Yeah.
shift.
Quantum leap. Yeah. There's so
When
many
someone,
terms. Yeah.
yeah, like when someone just shifts into a different body that's experiencing pure health.
Awesome.
And yeah, he got home, he texted me, he mailed me, he sent me free clients, and he started coming weekly purely for the fun of the session. Like he
Yeah.
completely forgot he was in pain. His body was like in pure health now. He was just coming because for him it felt like a DMT trip. He was like, I've never experienced anything like it. I will just lie on your bed and you send me to different dimensions. And if my body decides to feel healthier afterwards, I take that as a byproduct.
I love that. I love that so much. That could be a commercial. He needs to do a commercial for it. How do you, if you do, incorporate mindfulness and I guess like meditation into your practice?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I actually don't,
Okay.
because from the moment when the person lies on their bed, their whole system shifts, their brain frequency shifts, their heart frequency shifts because they are in the field, in the space. So they already naturally fall in the most powerful meditative place.
Mm,
Like I know science can measure when a monk goes in really powerful, deep meditative state, and they call it
right.
that theta frequency.
Hmm.
In my sessions, I would say 10 out of 10 people instantly fall into that deep place of meditation. So there's not there's nothing for me to do there, just to be,
Right.
to allow life and the present moment to work through me. And you said another word, mindfulness. Um, I'm starting to educate my clients to use a different word, which is heartful or heartfulness.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
It just brings them more into their body,
Hmm.
more into their physiology, more from their head space into their heart space. So when
Right.
they ask me questions like this and they throw the word mindfulness, I gently invite them so we can shift it to a heartfulness.
I love
To
that.
tell me what's in their heart. Like forget the brain. Tell me what is in your heart
Right.
right now.
Because you don't
How
want a
does it feel?
mindful. That sounds like torture. Like I've always had that same thought of like, why is it called mindfulness? That doesn't sound peaceful. Like,
So with my clients, I'm gently shifting to a different word, which is heartfulness. So we can just
yes,
witness and observe what's in the heart. That's just a game I'm doing with my
I
clients.
support that. No, words have power, so I'm on board with that for sure. Um, I, because you mentioned quantum a lot, obviously, and it's in your title. I'm a nerd when it comes to it. So like I'm just curious of how you would explain quantum entanglement to those who don't know and how that like plays a role in our everyday life, but especially healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's a brilliant question. A lot of people are realizing their quantum nature,
Yes,
which in my view, that's the underlying reality of what we're experiencing.
correct.
That's what God has revealed to me.
Mm,
Exactly what I said earlier in our story. Everything in front of me is me, an extension of me, a projection of me. In a quantum model or in a quantum language, we call that quantum entanglement. When
mhm.
we're deeply interconnected as one in this one field. And I can deeply feel that in my sessions. Like I work with a client and I would start feeling my left shin vibrate. And I
Yeah.
would ask the client who's in New Zealand, how's your left shin right now? And they will be like, it's heavy, it's vibrating, it's painful, it's pulling, that will be quantum entanglement. We're
Mm,
both resonating with that pattern in the left shin.
yep. Yeah, that's a perfect example. I love that. Well, it's pretty much like I know another term because there's so many words and titles, but like a medical intuitive is what I called myself at first before I knew like the actual terms because it's all again the same thing. Just like when you talked about
Yeah.
growing up, you used to manipulate. I call that energy transmuting, which now I call quantum alchemical healing. Like everything just it's words. They all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's beautifully said.
yeah. What qualities do you believe are essential for a therapist who's going to work with trauma, especially?
That's a powerful and deep question.
Hmm.
And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah.
I would just say what my qualities are.
Okay.
I think it's deeply uniquely to our unique field, our unique vibration, our unique divine gift.
It
And
is.
I'm deeply aware that I have my own unique universe, like we all do. So I'm not going to answer what qualities for other therapists are. I
Sure.
would just say for people, example, for people who come and study under me, because I teach quantum somatics to
Oh,
people
okay.
here on the island.
Okay.
And it's pretty simple. I'm looking for self-compassion so a person can observe their own inner world with compassion to be able to hold space for the person in front of them.
Yeah.
I gently bring in models of non-dual awareness again so the person can dissolve the idea that there are two people in the room. To
Yeah.
have that non-dual awareness is just one field. It's just work with that one field.
Mm.
And I am a heart alchemist, so for me, self-love, it's a really, again, important factor
It
to be
is.
able to be fully with yourself. And when I say self-love, I created another acronym, like with the pain one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's in my book that's coming out now. I put love as listen, observe, validate, and empathize.
Mm.
So when I teach my clients how to be a quantum somatic therapist, and when I say self-love, I mean listen to yourself, observe yourself
Mm.
with compassion, with kindness, what's going on within you
Yeah.
when you're ready to start a session with a client. Validate. If there's anger in your system, validate that you're angry right now. If there's
Yeah.
grief in your system, because if you know yourself, you know if when something comes up in your client, if it's just mirroring your own or you're just resonating with your own grief or emotion. So
Yep.
for me, it's really important that my students integrate the process of self-love. Listen with compassion, observe with kindness your heart space, validate your body sensations. Maybe you have tension in your knee, in your neck, and then empathize with your own experience in the present moment.
Yeah.
Because when I work with my students, it's really important for them to be in a neutral place, to
Yes.
be fully in the now moment, in the present moment, so they can allow the present moment to unfold within them from them.
Mm,
So it's really important how they find that neutral within themselves.
yeah.
They listen to themselves with compassion, how they observe their body with kindness, how they validate my toe hurts, my brain is full of yesterdays and tomorrows.
Yep.
Okay, if there are too many yesterdays and tomorrows in your brain or in your heart, let's go back. Let's listen again. Let's observe. Let's allow things to settle so you can
Hmm.
land in the present moment so you can actually facilitate a healing session.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm loving this so much. I could please come back. I could talk to you for hours. Um, what would you say your future goals are for your practice, or just in the realm of trauma healing in general?
um, the book I'm launching now in 2025 talks a lot about embryological patterns and dynamics. So I would love to be the person in my universe that raises awareness of how important the gestation period is. And that's when trauma shapes and forms our system. So I would love to be the person that changes the world forever. And when a woman finds out she's pregnant, she instantly gets paid holiday. She instantly gets paid holiday. She instantly gets the respect of a divine queen from her
Yes.
close circle to her entire community and country.
Mm.
So I would love to be remembered as the guy who changed the system forever. And when a woman finds out she's pregnant, she instantly, when she has that little stick with two lines on it, you go to your workplace. I don't care if it's private or state, or you go to your workplace and people applaud you. You don't go there with shame, like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. They might fire me, or I'm pregnant. What they are going to say to me. You go there and the whole office jumps, screams, celebrates because life is
Yes.
growing within you. You're developing another baby God,
Wow.
and whatever you work, they pay you to stay home, to
Mm.
nurture yourself and life, because that baby is going to grow into whatever environment he receives during pregnancy. So
Yeah.
my goal is to advocate for embryological awareness and to be the person who starts this movement around the world with the book I'm launching in 2025.
Oh my gosh, that my heart is singing and I'm vibrating all over. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Um, speaking of like the healthcare, like how do you envision the future of healthcare? Do you think it's going to be more, I already see it becoming a little bit more holistic and there is becoming like more of a merge. Would you see yourself like I had someone, who was it? They had a vision of a hospital with different tiers based on like the chakra level of healing that you need, like a true like if you could have any envision for the future, how would you see like healing be?
Oh, yeah, exactly how you described. And
Yeah,
I'm blessed
I
that
can see that.
I already see it in my universe.
Mm.
I see hospitals who offer, when my wife was pregnant with our first baby boy, they will offer Reiki sessions to mothers.
Yeah, yeah.
They will have like a wellness area in the hospital for pregnant women. So 100% yes. And simultaneously, I'm aware everybody has a unique vibration. and aligns themselves with a certain vibration of earth, with a certain frequency of reality. So if you ask me, that world that we're describing right now already exists here and now.
Mm.
It's just me and you raising our vibration and aligning ourselves
Oh yeah.
with a medical system that's full of energy work, presence, compassion, awareness,
Yeah.
proper trauma history, like asking a person, what happened? What's behind it?
For real.
Why hasn't it even worked for you? Just
Hmm.
asking those questions with an inquiry and also compassion. It's nobody's fault. It's not my mom's fault for my gestation period. It's not the system's fault. We're just
Right.
inquiring with compassion, with curiosity, so we can explore and dance with those dynamics, so we can
Yeah.
love them, so we can thank them.
Yes.
And another subtitle of my book is Trauma Blocks Self-Love,
Mm.
but Self-Love Heals Trauma.
Ooh, I'm excited. Do we know when next year? Spring? Fall?
Oh, January, the book is ready. People are reading it right now, so
What?
they can help me with my kind of last edits.
Okay, because I saw you've been
My
sharing some stuff online in my group on Facebook, but I didn't know it was out.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah, and I have this powerful mentor from Canada. She's like 74 years young and strong and on so many levels. And she's this successful published author and healer.
Okay.
And she kind of took me under her wing, like the universe just divinely appeared through her.
Mm,
So she's my mentor in this journey to advocate with this book.
I love that.
And
Yay.
yeah,
We'll put all the
embryological
links below
awareness.
too. In the description, we'll put the links
Yeah,
for everyone who wants to see it, of course.
thank you.
Of course. What messages would you share with individuals who are like struggling with trauma or seeking a more holistic approach to healing?
That's a really powerful and sensitive question.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, don't feel right now like there's a right or wrong answer to your question.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible
For
from my
sure.
own heart space. Um, call a friend, call a family member,
Mm,
reach out to a professional, reach out. Trauma tends to isolate. Trauma tends to make me believe I'm an introvert. Trauma tends to make me believe I like to isolate myself because trauma doesn't like a compassionate witness.
mm,
If I manage to call a person right now and just verbally share my pain, that trauma loses its grip around my heart and my system. And the universe is always here and now, ready to hear, to listen, to hold space and to love. So if someone is listening right now, whatever is going on in your life, tell your roommate, call your family, call your best friend. Don't worry about the world. Be as honest with yourself as possible.
yeah.
Break that barrier of courage and vulnerability because trauma is going to deeply block being vulnerable,
Yeah.
talking about your sexual abuse, talking about your addiction, talking about your abuse and neglect in childhood. We have all experienced it.
Mm,
It's a collective trauma, and we're here now to listen and to hold space for
mm. Beautiful.
it.
Beautiful.
I, I've been that person
Yeah.
for over 30 years. I didn't have the courage to express, not even to my best friend, not even to
Hmm.
my family.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've been there. I know how painful it is, from suicidal thoughts to shame and guilt to so many programs which were
Oh yeah.
not even mine to hold.
Nope. No. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. Before we wrap things up, a fun question that I always like to ask my guest, especially because you usually get pretty deep and it's a little bit of a lighter note. If you had a superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it to help humanity?
Oh, that's easy. I'm a big fan of flying. I'm a big fan of the
Yes, that's such a
nanosphere.
popular answer.
I,
Yeah.
I would love to fly. It's my dream come true.
Yeah.
Um, but I constantly dream that I'm actually going to fly in this simulated reality at some point in my
Yeah.
existence. How would I help humanity with that? That's a really good question.
That's the trick. Yeah.
I'll probably save cats from trees.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
probably, yeah, yeah, I'll probably save mountain climbers from Everest when they actually can't come down and just go and fly by and say, hey,
Okay.
who's too tired and doesn't have enough oxygen? I'll take you down.
That's amazing.
Yeah, flying and helping people who are somewhere up there and they can't get down
I love that so much. That's such a perfect answer. It's a very popular one too. Because like, I don't know how I'm going to help humanity with it. I'm like, you can deliver food, medicine, you can. So saving cats in the trees is perfect. I love that.
here. Thank you for
Um,
that brilliant question and for giving this lighter energy in the field.
yes, yes, you got to. We got to. So if you could leave our audience with one final thought or piece of advice, what would it be?
Hmm, piece of advice for one mind. Oh, yeah. No matter the solution, no matter the event or the person or the dynamic or the pattern, the answer is always love. And love leads to self-love. And that is the only simple thing in this multidimensional, layered quantum existence. The only simple thing in existence is the energy of love.
Well said. Well said. Laurian, thank you. Thank you so much. I am so pleasured. Please let the people know where they can find out more about you.
Yeah.
We'll put again
Um,
all the links below, but for our listeners who are like
yeah.
on
Yeah.
Spotify.
And the website is quite simple. It's with my family name, Talianu.
Okay,
Yeah. Dash craniosacral.com.
perfect.
And for social media, again, it's super simple. My name, Laurian Talianu.
Perfect. All
And
right.
I'm looking forward to connect. I'm available both on Facebook and Instagram for questions. I'm a big fan to connect with my followers, with people who are curious, or just with people who are not having the best day of their life.
Yes.
I'm here.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. Your media presence is strong and appreciated. It's it's nice to have another fellow bro star. I know we're out there, but like we need to start stepping up more, I feel like. So I'm so honored, truly, truly honored. And if you made it
Same
this
here.
far,
Thank you for today.
listeners, oh, of course, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we will speak in the next one. Mwah. Much love. Speak soon.
Bye, guys. Have a lovely day.